Meghalaya, there's always a consensus among politicians as well as observers that parties matter really little in the elections, and it is personalities that drive people's electoral choices in Meghalaya. Having said that, there are still election issues that feature in manifestos and speeches ahead of the elections. So I list out a few of them. Um, so this election, one issue which has come up ahead of the polls is the issue of the outsider. So in Meghalaya, where fault lines are, ethnic and linguistic, there is this uh, fear of the outsider, and outsider basically denotes somebody from neighboring Bangladesh, and this has become an enduring political issue over the years. So Meghalaya is a tribal majority state which borders Bangladesh, right? And there's always been a fear over decades that outsiders or people from Bangladesh will take over the tribal jobs, land and resources. And as a result of this fear over the years, there's always the state's Bengali community has always borne the brunt of it. Now, while it has been an issue for many, many years, this time the issue has become a bit more prominent because the Citizenship Amendment Act was passed in 2020. And so the issue has, this fear against the outsiders sort of hit a crescendo then. And there were a lot of law and order issues which, came up right after the bill was made into an act. And another thing which is sort of kind of added fuel to the fire is the entry of the Trinamool Congress this election. So, as you know, Trinamool Congress is a party which has its roots in West Bengal. And ahead of the elections, it's the rival parties in Meghalaya have wasted no time in sort of pointing that out and saying that this is a party which is a Bengali party. It has come from West Bengal. It is a party of outsiders. So that rhetoric has been played up a lot. And ahead of the polls, the TMC has been in a war of words with, parties like the National People's Party, which is the ruling party under Conrad Sangma, about this particular issue. So recently, Mukul Sangma, who is leading the TMC in Meghalaya and who is the former chief minister as well, he accused Conrad Sangma of using a racial slur against them when he said that Conrad allegedly basically used the word Bengali to attack TMC in a rally. So then Conrad hit back later and said that he never said Bengali, he said a Bengal-based party, and that it wasn't a racial attack at all. Then just last week, Home Minister Amit Shah was in Meghalaya to campaign in the Garo Hills. And in a rally there too, Amit Shah basically, brought up this issue and said that, you live near the Bangladesh border. Now, if the TMC comes into power over here, won't infiltration from Bangladesh increase? So everyone is sort of making it an issue. I mean, you can't really say how much it matters on the ground, but definitely political parties are using it as an issue and, referring it to it in every other poll campaign. So, so that's one issue. The other issue would be the issue of coal mining. That's one more issue which keeps coming up ahead of not just this election. It's been a poll issue even in the previous election. So Meghalaya is a very coal-rich state, but in 2014, the National Green Tribunal had basically banned all coal mining in the state and said that coal mining was illegal. And this was a carpet ban on coal mining. Now, since then, coal mining has become a very contentious matter because this is a state where there are very few economic opportunities, and coal mining was, for people in certain pockets, especially in the Jayantia Hills, it sort of was it was an economy of sorts. Now, after the NGT banned coal mining in 2014, and that was under the Congress government, it has become a poll issue. In the last 5 years, the NPP-led government challenged this NGT ban in the Supreme Court. And in 2019, the court said, yes, coal mining can happen, but then they said that this can happen only in private tribal land and not in other places, but it can happen only in private tribal land. And it also recommended that the state formulate a plan for scientific mining. Earlier this year, I think this was in January, the Conrad Sangma-led NPP government, they said that they are just one step away from scientific mining, because they had basically gotten 4 miners to get permission from the Ministry of Coal. But despite that, it's become a poll issue ahead of the elections, because the opposition parties like the Congress, the TMC, they've sort of hit out at NPP for not being able to come up with proper mining plan. And also they've also alleged that NPP has let unchecked illegal mining happen without doing anything about it. So that's one. And now ahead of the elections, when you look at all the manifestos, almost every party has this promise or this assurance to sort of revive mining and ensure proper scientific mining as one of the promises in the manifesto. So yeah, even this election, like the last election, the assurance for coal mining to be revived and that scientific mining happens is another prominent issue ahead of the elections. Third would be the issue of the inner line permit. Now, the inner line permit, or the ILP, is basically a special document. It's like a permission document which is required to travel to certain tribal areas in the Northeast. Now, Meghalaya has long been demanding that an ILP that the ILP be put in place in Meghalaya. And while it is an old demand, again, it was the passing of the Citizenship Amendment Act that sort of gave it a renewed push. And after that, after the CAA was passed, there were a lot of protests which led to violence against linguistic minorities. And the main thing over here was that the tribal groups wanted ILP to be passed. Now, in the last, after the CAA has been passed, in the last 2-3 years, these protests have faded. But again, when the polls are coming up, the issue has come back into focus. And with parties promising that, we will bring the ILP when we come to power. So the NPP has promised that, that they are going to make sure the ILP is implemented if they are given another term in power. Then there are several other smaller regional parties which are also contesting the elections. Even they have said that, we'll try to get this done. In the meanwhile, TMC has not included it in the manifesto, and they've received flag for it. So yes, ahead of the elections, ILP is also one more issue which is being talked about. The fourth issue is the border dispute with Assam. In 2022, in November, 6 people had died in this firing by the Assam police in the Jayantia Hills district near this village called Mukro. And that these 6 people were from Meghalaya. And this led to like a fresh resurgence between Assam and Meghalaya regarding this very age-old boundary dispute. The incident came just months after the Meghalaya government had signed this historic, what they call the historic border pact with Assam and the central government to solve this border issue. When it comes to the Assam Meghalaya border, Meghalaya had been carved out of Assam, right, in 1971. Since then, both the states have been engaged in this border dispute because there are certain areas of difference. In fact, there are 12 areas of difference between the two states. So in April last year, this border pact was signed, and 6 out of the 12 areas were sort of resolved. And in the second phase, 6 more will be resolved. But after that, when this whole Mukro incident happened where 6 people died and there was violence, then, the opposition parties started criticizing the government, criticizing the NPP-led government, saying that, fine, this pact was signed, but, the stakeholders were not taken into confidence, and it was a very hurried border deal. So now, ahead of the elections, you see that all parties have in some form address this border issue. So, the NPP has said that it's going to do whatever it can to solve the border issue. The TMC has in fact said that, whatever pact which was signed with the center, that they're going to revoke the pact. The Congress has also promised to work towards it. The BJP has also promised to work towards it. So the border issue, while it may not really matter to voters who are far away from the constituencies near the border, it is still a very sentimental issue. And because, land, in states in the Northeast, the land is a very contested commodity. So that is why the border issue has also, come into limelight ahead of the elections. Yeah, the fifth issue is basically corruption, which has got a lot of, everyone is talking about that. This is because the ruling NPP-led Meghalaya Democratic Alliance has been battling allegations of rampant corruption in the last 5 years. So that is why, this topic has become like the buzzword in many rallies and manifestos. There have been a number of scams which the opposition alleges that the NPP was involved in. There's a Saubhagya scam, then there's this rice scam, and a host of other scams. In fact, the BJP has taken it to another level and said that, it's going to also even have a special task force to sort of investigate all corruption cases. So ahead of the elections, corruption is one more issue which has got a lot of traction. Each and every political party is talking about it, and everyone's promising that if they voted to power, they're going to make Meghalaya a corruption-free state.